Yo, the crypto bull run is in full swing. And as we establish this brand new Web3 economy, the blockchain and crypto economy, there's a bunch of new projects that suddenly shoot up in the top 30 or even top 20. And you don't even know who is behind all that, right? They come out of nowhere. But in some cases, it might be that there's a huge company behind it. They just have a new branding, a new name, so you don't see at the first glance who is behind that. So in today's video, I want to talk about one specific project that nobody is even talking about, nobody's even mentioning, but it's already listed on CoinMarketCap and on CoinGecko right now with their actual market caps, right? So it's already in the top 25 right now, and that project is Klaytn, my friend. So Klaytn is a huge blockchain conglomerate from South Korea, and not only that, it's also the project which is led by Kakao. And Kakao, for those who do not know, is like the WhatsApp or the WeChat of Korea. They have more than 50 million users. It's the largest social messaging app over there. And I'm going to be talking about that because I discovered this project in summer of 2020. I bought my first Klay around June when it was around 10 cents or even less than that. And yeah, so I want to share my observations, my learnings, what they do, and just talk about also their DeFi ecosystem, which is incredibly big right now. So if you're excited about that, then make sure you hit up the subscribe button, number one. Number two, like this video. And number three, share it with 1 or 2 friends. And finally, also make sure that you watch this entire thing. So towards the end of the 2017 bull run, a lot of giant companies from the traditional internet space actually came out and said like, hey guys, we want to build our own blockchain now. We want to join the crypto space. That's the future, right? And Kakao Talk has been one of the projects that already in late 2017, I think actually early 2018, came out and said exactly that, right? And we've also seen companies, for example, like Telegram, right? And other big companies that were supposed to build their own blockchain, but then somehow over the bear market, things dried out and they didn't materialize on their promises and on their plans, right? But Klaytn is one of those projects that actually came into realization over the past few years. And initially, I guess it was pretty hard to kick things off, especially during a bear market, but they really delivered a lot. And they have built a massive multi-billion-dollar ecosystem with their DeFi space as well. Now they're joining the NFT space and also central bank digital currency. So we're going to be looking into that. But first things first, let's look at where KLAY, the coin, is listed right now and how it is being traded. All right, so if we check out CoinGecko, Klaytn is here ranked on 25 with a market capitalization of $6 billion and a trading volume of around 85 million only, right? That's quite low, but that's the current trading volume. And the total supply is, it doesn't really show here, but it's 10 billion. And the circulating supply is 2.45 billion, right? So around 25% of the coins are currently circulating. Please keep in mind that those numbers are not always 100% correct because CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap, they don't have the best APIs, but that's what it is. The current price is $2.45. I covered KLAY actually already a year ago or almost a year ago, but basically when I started my YouTube channel, because that's also where I discovered KLAY, and it was just at a few cents. It's accessible on Coin1, which is one of the largest Korean exchanges, OKX in China, Gate.io also pretty much Chinese, GDAC and MXC. I think they also have a couple of other Korean exchanges, but no Binance, no Coinbase, right? None of these. And I always see this as an opportunity, right? So whenever there's not a Coinbase or Binance listing or Kraken, that's a huge opportunity, right? To drive liquidity, also raise international awareness, because up until now, Klaytn is still very much, I would say Asia focused, maybe even just Korea focused, but they're pretty large. So let's look at a little bit into the journey before we look into this incredible governance council that they have and their ties to central bank digital currency in Korea. Let's first look into their kind of journey here, right? And in June of 2020, they launched their crypto wallet. It's called Klip. And the interesting thing is that they integrated that into the social messaging app, right? And the social messaging app has 50 million users, right? So that is very, very impressive. And if we look here on their Twitter, they released this tweet on March the 30th, which says that they have currently 855,646 active Klip users, right? And I think a couple of weeks ago, that number was still less than 700K, and a couple of months ago, it was just like a few 100,000, right? Like 300,000-400,000. So it's growing pretty fast. And out of these 50 million users, almost 2% penetration already. So that has been kind of their first killer application. And then from this article here in March 12th of 2021, so that's already like when the wallet was launched for eight, 9 months. They basically said that we want to really focus on strengthening the functionalities of Klip and also enable and embed other things, right? For example, digital certificates, right? Or NFTs, and even the management of digital assets, right? So maybe we're talking about DeFi here, and we'll look into the DeFi into the DeFi field in a second. So that's really cool. By the way, GroundX is the development arm behind Klaytn. So similar to IOHK on Cardano, or Parity on Polkadot, or Tendermint on Cosmos, you have GroundX, which is behind the Klaytn project, and then GroundX is a subsidiary or an affiliate company of Kakao, right? So Kakao is kind of like the overseeing the main company behind Klaytn, I would say, because it owns GroundX, as of my understanding. So that's really cool. And obviously, it's a multi-billion-dollar company in Korea. So they also have a lot of high-level partnerships. For example, one of them is with AWS. And then also another one that is with central banks, right? And also the Bank of Korea. They're now supposedly joining forces to build or maybe design the first pilot of a central bank digital currency for Korea, right? So that's a huge topic. And I said this so many times now in the past, guys, CBDCs is probably one of the largest use case for public ledgers in 2021, right? I think we're going to see a lot of central banks partnering up with projects that we know from the crypto world, right? Hedera Hashgraph, Polkadot, Cardano, right? Like all these projects, like they have to consult them for tech support and how do you design that? How do you build decentralized consensus, right? And here's another article that goes deeper into that, because the Shinhan Bank, which is also partner of Hedera Hashgraph, right? They just joined the Hedera Hashgraph Governance Council, and they're also partnered with LG to design central bank digital currency. So now we have Klaytn and Hedera Hashgraph already kind of involved in the design for central bank digital currency in Korea. And also there's a lot of bureaucratic and regulatory stuff that goes into it with the Korean Minting and Security Printing Corporation. So there's a lot of stuff here. I think we'll see and read a lot more about this in the future as we move forward. But I love to see those things, and I love to see projects that I'm invested in progressing on that front, because I understand the impact of CBDCs. I wrote a 91 pages paper on it, and it's just massive. It's just the future. So that's really cool stuff here. But now let's look into the governance council as promised, because that's probably the juiciest part about Klaytn. Now, the Klaytn Governance Council is incredible, right? And, you know, I'm a fan of Hedera Hashgraph. They have a very similar architecture, because Swirls is the company behind Hedera. Hedera is an LLC that is owned and governed by a lot of different companies, right? On Hedera, you have now the Shinhan Bank. You have a lot of giant companies like Google, like IBM, and all these large tech companies from all over the world. And on Klaytn, you have a very similar image. It's much more Asia focused and especially Korea focused, right? LG, Hashkey and Hashed. Then you have WorldPay, right? Which is a huge company. MakerDAO just joined. Then you have Hanwha Systems, Korea Economic Daily, they just joined as well. The Union Bank, Celtron, like a lot of companies from the tech sector, I guess also from the banking sector and finance, right? Like all these companies that are governing the Klaytn protocol. And GroundX is kind of like the counterpart here to Kakao, right? So these two are the main players and the key players in that field. And also they've just partnered up with Consensus, which is one of the main Ethereum ecosystem projects out there. So that's really cool. They're not trying to compete. Maybe they are trying to compete, but at least they're collaborating together with Consensus, with the Ethereum ecosystem, trying to build bridges between the two projects. and also make it compatible. And also jointly figure out like how can we pitch this to central banks, right? So I think that's really, really cool stuff here. And we're going to see a lot of that in the future, I guess. Like this just is such a huge field and such a huge use case that I think is inevitable. Now, so that's just a very brief and short overview of what Klaytn is, how they're connected. If you go over to their Twitter as well, you see there's a lot of tweets they're pushing out right now. And to my surprise, if you look, for example, they started this profile in July of 2018. But if you see all these posts now, April 23, this one is just from 26 minutes ago, Klayswap, which is the largest DEX on Klaytn. And we're going to look into that in a second. They're supporting now XRP and Ripple. I didn't even know that, just came up, popped up. But yeah, so they're just tweeting here a lot, right? And I just wanted to bring this up because there's actually a huge gap between March of 2021 and November of 2020, right? So that's 4 or 5 months of no tweeting at all. And now suddenly they're shooting out so many partnerships and content. And it's huge. They got featured by Forbes. This article also gives an overview of 50 blockchain projects that are from huge companies like Microsoft, Binance, and HSBC, right? So Klaytn is also covered in that one. And this article is actually from a Forbes staff editor, right? So that's not some paid promotional content. This is actually from Forbes directly. And that is really cool stuff as well. And yeah, they're releasing now these quarterly reports, lots of stuff going on here. So check out their Twitter as well and follow them because I think probably there's more to come, right? If you see such increase in tweet activity, there's maybe something in the bush, right? And we talked about CBDCs and those kinds of things, right? So maybe there's something that's coming up very soon. All right, so now let's look into their DeFi ecosystem, right? And it starts actually here with the Klay Station. The Klay Station is the staking front end through which you can stake your Klay coins. And you can just click here on start a journey. Currently, the reward rate is 5% staking rewards, which is not bad. And you can connect here through your wallet. Klip is the one that I already mentioned, which is from the Kakao Talk app. And I'm using Kaikas. It's a very cool browser extension. It's working really, really simple and easy. Nothing major and difficult about it. I can recommend Kaikas because I'm using it. So set that up if you want to play around with it. And then go here on the Klay Station, connect your wallet, and you'll be able to stake your Klay. You can also flip your Klay for sKlay, which is basically staked Klay, which is liquid. And then you can take that and provide liquidity on Klayswap. Out of the, 10.5 billion total supply of Klay, around 200 million have already been staked, right? And the current reward, like I said, 5%. And sKlay is designed in a way similar to Hex, actually, in shares, in T shares. sKlay goes up in value against Klay all the time, right? Infinitely, because it's just programmed to go up against Klay. All right, so very last thing before we wrap it up for today, quick look into Klayswap, which is the largest DEX on Klaytn. And it has a total value locked of 1.4 billion US dollars almost. So that's pretty large. It has a KSP staking reward of between 38 and 150%. You can also lock them up and boost your stake. And there's different things and give different game theory. I started to farm my first Klayswap when it was just $2 or something. And now it's already at $70, right? So that's almost $1 billion market cap. I think they're probably in the top 100 or just around the top 100 right now. I think CoinMarketCap shows them up correctly, but $70 is absolutely nuts. And yeah, it's been growing like crazy. 58% of all KSP are currently staked. And here you can also see all the pools for providing liquidity. So that's pretty cool for those who really want to yield farm and do all these kind of things and play around with it. Remember that Klayswap is still in beta. So even though there's so much value locked in it, and even though it's audited by a Korean auditing firm, there is always inherent risks, right? So this is still very early stage experimental technology. However, it's pretty cool to play around with it. As I said, I've been using it since basically day one. That's the swapping interface, right? The fees are incredibly low. It goes really, really fast and smooth. And they have been also really kind of like unique in their design, right? Like you see all these other decentralized exchanges, which are basically only Uniswap forks, and they even copy the whole front end, right? But Klayswap has their own kind of design, and that's pretty cool. Here are all the pools where you can also see your claimable KSP that you're farming, that you're earning. Here's the KLAY, S-Klay pools, right? If you want to stake your S-Klay and KLAY and you only want to hold KLAY, then here's the rewards. It's pretty cool. Almost 14% when you're compounding it. So very, very, very last thing before we wrap it up now is that I want to mention is the Orbit bridge. And Orbit is another important puzzle in the Klaytn ecosystem, DeFi ecosystem, because it's a bridge that helps you to easily convert from one chain to another. So let's say you want to switch your ETH, then you choose your validator group. So those are the validators here. Then you choose from which chain you want to switch it. Currently, they're supporting Ethereum, Icon, Klaytn, and Orbit. Let's say from Ethereum, you will have to connect your MetaMask wallet. So I don't have that active right now. And then you choose the chain that you want to migrate to, the recipient address. It's a bit pricey still. It's very also complex contract call. So there is costs involved, of course. But I did it once. It worked perfectly fine. It's pretty cool. And yeah, that's something I like to see. I love to see interoperability. I think still Cosmos is by far the biggest and largest innovator in that field. But Orbit Bridge is also doing a good job here. But so that's the last thing to wrap it up for today. I hope you have now a very nice 360 overview of what Klaytn is, who is behind it, what they're doing right now. We talked about CBDCs. You've seen the DeFi ecosystem is pretty large. The rewards are really interesting. You can stake it. The fees are really low. Like there's a lot of cool things. Also now with NFTs, and the tweet frequency is accelerating. So that's maybe an indicator that something is coming up. And yeah, I just hope you like that video as I'm just sharing my research results with you guys. Also remember, of course, none of this is any sort of financial advice, blah, blah, blah. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and be good.